This is the stuff dreams are made of. I'm writer-collector Ryan Condal.
And I'm writer-collector Dave Mandel, and you're listening to the original movie prop collecting podcast. How was that? Was that perfect? Yeah, can we do the take two? I thought I was
live from New York.
I thought I was past that. I thought I was very good. How are you today, Ryan? That was a disaster. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm
okay.
That's what we get on an early Sunday morning.
I have a rant loaded up for you.
Go for it. Is it a what's new in props rant or just a pure rant?
Yeah. No, it's all collecting related.
Oh, I like it. Welcome everyone. Oh, you have props for it. Oh Lord. Hello to everybody, all our live visitors in the chat group. I see a whole bunch of people. The one that made me laugh the most was Bob Farmer live from Gino's workshop. So hey guys, hope you're maybe working on my mannequin maybe. Speaking of which, a minor update. I got the check from FedEx, so that was good.
Oh wow.
So they did pay off quickly. Yes. I think even they realized the absurdity of the situation.
This was a bridge too far.
I think they just were like, yeah, we can't argue this one. So yeah, that was something. I felt very good about that. But
Dave, I think once every 3 to 6 months, you should just send another torso mannequin to
those people. Like the address, and just send them weird like draw string creatures and just little all sorts of strange sticks and things of that nature. Yeah, absolutely. Really freak them the heck out.
Copies of the King in Yellow.
We just start buying those props and send True Romance props and sending them to Gina's friends or whatever their names were. All right, well, go for it. Let's hear your what's new in props. Anger.
I actually had a classy what's new in props, which maybe I'll do at the end to save myself, or maybe I'll just save it for another time. But this came up today. I brought whiskey. I haven't done whiskey updates, but I feel like it's a live podcast. It's fairly early tonight.
I think I saw the whiskey geeks are on the pod.
They're on. Yes, hello guys.
Yeah,
good to have you. So at least they will care about this. So this is a Chichibu, the Japanese. There we go. The Japanese distillery. This is from their Taboo collection. So there was a See No Evil, Speak No Evil, and then Hear No Evil, and they were on these different casks. This was a red wine cask. You can see the stats there.
But the names have no reflection of the flavoring or the taste. They're just cool names, right?
No. But the red wine cask does. So you can see this is the color of the whiskey. You see a little of that, sort of sweeter character, and it's not quite as red as a sherry, but it's power packed. It's 59.5%, so it will power a rant or two. Maybe you'll get another one over the course of the night. Depends on how much Chichibu I drink. But so I was catching up with a good friend of ours, Dave, who works in the auction business, and all respect to him. This is not a rant against him at all. This is actually not a rant against the auction business at all. It's a rant against the new collector. And I don't know. Did you see the results of the Julian's auction?
Well, I thought that would be one of my what's new in props, because I also was gonna. Did I ever tell the story on the air of how close I got to those props? Did we ever talk about that?
I don't think you talked about it, but yeah.
So I thought I would tell that story, but go ahead, go for your anger, because go for it first, and I'll fill in, I'll clean up. You go, keep going. Yeah. Go, man, go. Chichibu it up, baby. Chichibu.
I had vaguely sort of, it was in the ether of paying attention. And then we talked about one particular piece, and then I was like, oh geez. And I went and looked at the results, and I just got angry. I just got really angry. And it's not because the stuff did well, good for Julian's, good for that. But I'm literally
brought to you by Propsture.
Brought to you by Propsture and Heritage, etc. But I immediately just went to, where the hell were these people last year when literally the most famous Star Trek collection was being auctioned off, and that stuff was available there. It was probably better simply because of the provenance that it was coming from, and it just tells me all I need to know about the new collector, which is just random happenstance. These people were Julian's clients, and they weren't Heritage clients, or they were Julian's clients and not Propsture clients, or whatever.
Well, I would actually
fucking be bothered, and
I would make the argument. That they're not a client of any one place. That maybe for whatever reason they didn't hear about the Greg Jean auction and somehow did hear about this Julian's auction. But I keep going. I apologize. I had interrupted.
All respect to our friends at Julian's. I don't know how the fuck that is possible, Dave.
Well, they did get in the Star Trek world, the Star Trek fan base definitely did a lot of the heavy lifting on this auction, if that makes sense. I did think there was a lot of, if you're a Star Trek fan, the word was out on the fan sites and whatnot. M3 Sweat says 2 telephone bidders suddenly faced a sniper. It was crazy. To me, and let me back up for 4 seconds. So I'm going to tell the audience this story really quickly, which is I almost bought those 2 pieces. I actually thought I had a deal in place. The way the story went very quickly was the people that own the phaser and the communicator reached out to another collector for authentication and wanted to sell the piece. And based on the Greg Jean numbers, and by the way, I'm sure they're sitting there going, ha, 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 we did really much better. Based on the Greg Jean numbers, I sort of made an offer based on the damage and whatnot. And they said yes. And we were in the process of the sort of authenticator was going to fly out. I was putting the money was together, waiting to have a certified check issued. And basically, it was we were dealing, I guess, with the son-in-law of the owner, at which point the owner, I guess, started Googling and decided that Julian's was the place to sell the stuff, and my deal was scuttled. So I was like 3 or 4 days away from owning those pieces. Needless to say, when the time came around and people were like, well, are you going to bid on it? My typical answer is always they can go, choke on their own vomit and die. I'm not bidding a second. But I was close. It's just like, you don't fuck me over and then I bid and help you up. Obviously it did not matter in this case. To me though, on the 2 numbers, and what I will say is when we were looking at the communicator at that point,
I just hope, Dave, the package gets accidentally routed to Gina's friends in Ohio.
Oh my God. If she sees a communicator, she is going to lose her shit.
Yeah. Space technology.
Space technology, the future, right. Destroy it, burn it, burn it, burn it. At the time, the communicator, we had not identified it. We had not opened it up yet and found the clock piece mechanism in it. So it obviously became a more important piece. And the phaser is probably I actually think both examples may be actually better than the Greg Jean examples if we're getting technical in terms of like what the people bought. But to me, it wasn't those 2 pieces, although those numbers are crazy. It was pieces like the Kirk in the same auction. There was a Kirk tunic. I don't remember from which season, so I apologize. But the Kirk tunic sold for $500,000 after multiple Kirk tunics.
Kirk tunics.
Yeah, exactly. And privately, no Kirk tunic has sold for numbers like that. And so that's there. And again, the Kirk tunic is wonderful. Everything is wonderful. But when you don't know what you're looking at, you're paying no attention to previous auctions and whatnot. It is just madness. And again, I guess if you're the seller, you're the happiest people in the world. I'm sure the auction house is very happy too, but it does just kind of suck. And I think that's really, the end of it.
I totally understand the happiness of the auction house. They're thrilled. They wouldn't care. They wouldn't care if, whatever, if like the Proud Boys were pooling their money together and buying the stuff, they'd be thrilled about it. They're in the business to get the highest possible value. I'm in the business of collecting. I like other collectors. I like people who take this stuff seriously. And I would just like to invite all these people that are coming into our hobby and getting these trophies, it's sort of, fading away back in the darkness. Please just go back to NFTs. Please go back to buying like, Kuntz rabbits or whatever you were spending your money on previously.
No, go back to buying Twitter and helping Donald Trump become president. That would really help us. Yeah, that would really help us. I was going to point out one thing. Sorry, number one Marvel fan. I see you said this somewhere in there, maybe going to the Middle East. And by the way, we've joked about that too and sort of said it. But there's a thing in the art world. It happens a lot when paintings go missing. You read about it when like the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum was robbed, whatever. It's always been this idea of sort of like the Dr. No collector, the secret island with a guy on it who has got all the stolen art, whatever. And Thomas I think, that too. And I think in our hobby, the notion of, it's going to the Middle East or it's a rich Arab guy, it sounds fun and it sounds nice, but I'm starting to sort of think it's kind of bullshit. I mean, I'm sure there is stuff that occasionally does go to the Middle East, but I do think we are talking a little bit more about just, rich guys and Bitcoin and whatnot. I just do for wherever that fits in.
Yeah, and Bitcoin's up again, and Bitcoin was down, and the buying stopped, and whatever. And look, I realize I have the advantage of ranting in a vacuum where I can't be none of these auction houses are going to step forward and be like, well, you tap the sign, like here's the evidence that this was actually a big deal collector that bought this. They've done their research. They've taken this very seriously. They're dedicated listeners to the stuff dreams are made of. And that's how because we've also had that problem, Dave. We've brought in our own competition.
No, we definitely have. By the way, I should say one of our listeners did write us. I won't, I'll say his name. I'll say his first name. Well, actually, maybe I shouldn't. I don't know. I don't know if I should say his name because I don't know if he wants his name. But I'll say one of our listeners basically said,
Carroll.
One of our listeners said he took our advice over the years, doing research, bringing a war chest, asking for a cut bid, and was lucky enough to win the Janeway Captain's Chair. So one of our listeners won the Janeway's Captain's Chair, which is excellent. And congratulations,
that's a big deal. I mean,
that was a healthy price, $41,000, but it's not $500,000. So good on you is what I guess I will say. But congratulations to one of our listeners. Yeah,
these might have been the best. These might have been the best examples, ever. I still go back literally a year ago, 13 months ago. Greg Jean, the most famous Star Trek collector in the world, had his primo examples that he had collected, and they went for less than a third of the price. And if you're a collector, you're paying attention, you're watching over time, you're laying in the weeds, you're doing your research, you're getting ready to go in, and you're not just popping in one day for an auction and spending $700,000, or getting on a plane and forgetting to bid because there's a big auction on. So it's just, and look, this is a rant. This is an old man yelling at the clouds because there's nothing that I can do. There's nothing that's going to change. That's what happens when unfortunately the money came into this hobby, and now it's car money. So people are all have all gone nuts, and it's bringing in this and that, and it's going to shake more things out of the trees, but it's also just going to serve to make me angrier as the days go on.
And look, and I'll say cheers. Two additional things, Chichibu. One, I believe the next one, meaning when another phaser and communicator sell, in a couple of months or whatever it'll be, I think we will sort of see it return to Earth. That would be my prediction. It'll be, this is going to be the hoverboard bump. It'll bring a bunch out, and none of them will ever quite sell for whatever the one that pulls them all out. So that's number one.
Speaking of hoverboard bonanza, Dave. Sorry.
Number two, I was going to say Thomas Essen from the Mopop Museum collection, or from a portion of Paul Allen's. Are you talking about the Star Trek stuff that was in the auction? Or are you talking about the phaser and the communicator? The phaser and the communicator were from a crew guy, basically, who was friends with. Those were new to market. They were from a crew guy that was friends with the guy, I think, that owned was either the prop guy or the prop house from the original Star Trek, and that's how and they sat in a box. Yeah,
there were items in lesser Trek items from the Mopop.
There were, yes, they have been selling stuff off, not publicly, but
stuff has started to show up. And look, is his Vader helmet coming out? I would doubt it. I think they're probably going to clutch.
No, that seems to be in the. when I was up there, that seemed to be in the main collection and is sitting there, as is like the Kirk chair. But other pieces we're seeing, and I guess we've been seeing some of his Battlestar stuff that I didn't realize was his Battlestar stuff. And I'm not quite clear whether it is he gave it to the museum and allowed them to sell it, or if it's stuff that is being sold by the family that isn't given to the museum. I'm not quite sure who owns what, but the collection has definitely been breaking up and is not, unfortunately, what it once was. So wherever that fits in, yeah.
Yes, Frank Berman asks, am I using my Blade Runner glass? Yes, I am. It's not screen used. I'm passing yet again on the ability to buy that. That same set of glasses seems to come up in every auction, so I'm passing on that. But I did buy a CB glass from the Italian crystal maker. So yes, I'm drinking Japanese whiskey out of a Blade Runner glass. It's prop night. we're all happy. I also spent the last 3 hours cooking dinner for my family while watching the Giants poop all over themselves in Munich against the Carolina Panthers, who were supposed to be the worst team in the NFL, but now
were the worst team. Yeah,
second worst team.
Were the worst team.
Thank you. It's been quite a Sunday.
Yeah, I don't think it's an outlier, Mike. Marcus S. beat me to it in terms of higher price all around. Look, here's the one thing I'll end on before we do get to the auction, because we got a lot to go over. And I say this with all kindness, Ryan, to us, which is to say the people that we are angry at right now, we are those people to other collectors. Now, we can sit here and say we care about the stuff and we love the stuff, but we have also driven certain areas of our market to newer, higher prices that have now gone that much further. And I guess in some ways, that is just the circle of life of collecting. So we can be angry about it, but somewhere there's somebody angry about us, I guess is all.
Totally fair. But anybody that listens to this podcast, which I would venture to say none of these new people are doing, which, to each his own. This is not the be all and end all. But I do think like, hey, if you're a collector, there's sort of one podcast out there talking about this stuff. If you actually care, it's probably worthwhile to log in and hear what's going on, even if you don't like us. But anybody who listens to this podcast and thinks that we're doing this for the money or to speculate or because we're secretly dealers that are like hoarding all of this stuff to go, now I'm going to cash it all in and buy Bitcoin with it. It's just that's our love. I think the reason that you and I sacrifice our free time and our sanity to do this podcast is because we love this stuff. We love it.
Why would a human give up their Sunday morning? Go on. Sorry.
Sunday evening.
Sunday. Well, it's your Sunday evening. Yes,
that's right. I'd rather give up a Sunday evening than a Sunday morning. But no, whatever. This goes nowhere, as do all of my rants. But I'm just angry. So bathe in it, people.
No, those were baffling prices, just baffling prices. And certainly,
I'm sure we'll see some of the same nonsense this week at the Propsture auction. And more power to those guys.
And that's a great throw, I think, to the auction.
To our sponsor.
And that's what they're paying for. I'm sure we're going to see a lot of nonsense just like that this week at the big London auction for Propsture. But hey guys, Chris Fawcett,
come say hi live. I'll be there. Extra angry.
He'll be there with a bottle, just drinking as things are bid on. Chris Fawcett, I appreciate it. Thank you for noting the difference, and I do think it is true. But look, they clearly. Whoever's buying the stuff on some level goes pretty and buys it, and they just have an ability to sort of hit the button a lot more for whatever, home theater or office they are decorating. So I do like making fun of them, or at least I will make fun of them until one of them is willing to come on.
Reveal yourself.
Show.
That's the thing. Reveal yourself.
You can actually come on the show anonymously. You can hide your face, but we just would like you to come on the show and let us scream at you on the show. Yeah, that would be great.
Well, we'll make you like Carlos the Jackal and the world's most wanted terrorist, and we'll fold you up and hide you away. But look, until some new collector.
I didn't even like the phaser. I just was bidding accidentally. I bid $1 million accidentally. Yeah,
I thought it was a Star Wars blaster.
My favorite character is Chewbacca. Sorry, what?
Good name. Good pet.
I stole that, by the way, from. It was Steve Lookner, an old co-writer of mine at Saturday Night Live, wrote this sketch many, many, many years ago that, of course, never went on. That was it was when Home Shopping Network was doing so much Star Wars stuff all the time. And it was just a guy selling and selling and selling, but just didn't know anything. So it was a lot of like, check it out. We've got Chewbacca and we got Chewbacca action figures. And it was just, everything was a little wrong, but high energy.
Yeah. High energy flops. Yeah. And Chris, I was getting to what you were saying was I'm sort of insinuating, yes, that these are trophy hunters that are coming in and snatching something and putting it on their shelf shelf and saying, hey, look at me, without understanding the hows and whys.
This is the Babe Ruth baseball, Mickey Mantle baseball of the sport world.
The flex,
Michael Jordan card. Yes, exactly.
Yes, and I'm projecting that's the case and presuming, but otherwise I have no real evidence of that. But until somebody comes forward and proves otherwise, we have been looking for, the new collector to sort of present themselves and sort of show their street cred. And we would love to talk to them. Somebody that's, spent a lot of money in the last year or two, but it hasn't happened yet. So TBD.
I'm sure if they're listening, this should pull them out now. So this should be great. Yeah. little honey trap, little honey pot. Yeah.
Come on for a warm welcome to one drunk and one angry comedy writer.
Just stay the fuck away from the monkey radiator caps. That's all I can say, motherfuckers. Well, let us turn our attention to the matter at hand. That was
an episode tonight, Dave?
I think so. I think there's an episode of we were going to look at we're going to talk we're going to answer your questions, obviously, about the big Propsture auction brought to you by Heritage and Julian's, our new sponsor. And we're going to kind of go through our categories of some of the stuff that jumped out at us, but also, happy to talk about anything you guys want to talk about. If you want to talk about an item, shout out the item number and check this out. Bart, catalog it up. Look at this new technology that we've got for the show.
This is a professional
This
podcast.
is where your money is going. Thank you all who have paid nothing. This is where your money is going.
Our patrons.
So there you go. So Ryan, do you have the categories? I have just items. I don't know if I have categories.
I did categories.
All right, you categorize it up and I'll put my stuff into the items. Look at that.
Great. Well, I just want to do a quick rundown of we sort of neglected day 2 and 3 last time, and I felt bad because there actually is good stuff in there, and I realized this is part of the Ryan the hypocrite, where I'm like a total fucking snob about things that don't cost a certain amount of money. And it's not, I have nothing against them. It's just like I always approach these auctions.
You are trying not to buy smaller little items from movies you like,
and inundate myself with things when I'm very blessed to be able to chase the high end things that I love to chase. I'm not casting aspersions on them. I actually approach these catalog episodes as Ryan the collector. I try to do the podcast co-hosting gig as like sort of person who's knowledgeable about the prop collecting community, but these catalogs I really approach them as the way I go into a prop catalog as a collector. So I think I have unduly ignored days 2 and 3. So we're going to do a better job of that today. So Dave, I would just like to start with, I have 6 or 7 things that I just wanted to call out from days 2 and 3 that I think are exciting, awesome.
All right, go for it.
That I think are totally and might have just skated under the radar a little bit because they're not in the printed catalog, and they don't get the profile of the day 1 things. So just a couple of things. So lot 845, giving Bart a chance to thumb his fingers along there. There is a full screen matched set of Frost fatigues in this auction that I think is awesome. And if you've been paying attention for the past couple of years, I mean, good luck to you today, given all of the sort of new collectors that have come into Aliens over the years. I'm sure they're all normal people with true collecting love and passion in their hearts. But there is a screen match set of Frost armor, and there is a screen matched Frost helmet, which is kind of the rarest of the rare in terms of Aliens out there. So I'm not saying that if you get this piece that you're going to be able to assemble a fully screen matched Frost, but this set makes it such that the only Marine, to my knowledge, and this is somebody that pays attention to this, that is assemblable as a fully screen match Marine is Frost, and this would be a key piece there. And it's in at the the screen is so small I can't see it, but I think the estimate is in at 3 to 5. Is that accurate?
Possible to see. I can go full screen. 3 to 6. 3 to 6.
3 to 6. There you go.
I would actually also argue, regardless of whether you were putting a Frost together or not, the opportunity for an Alien collector to get a full set of the camos, pants, and shirt, even if they ended up under replica armor, even if they ended up under somebody else's armor, et cetera, et cetera. I just think the opportunity to be able to go, that's Frost's, that's Frost camo under my piece together, whatever. I just think this is an opportunity. So I had marked it as well as something cool wherever that fits in. But yeah, really, really nice. Yeah.
And Dave, I'm seeing my good friend Zach in the feed here, so I just wanted to say hello to Zach. I'm going to embarrass him for a bit online, but the amazing director of the Milius documentary and many other things. But that's how.
Oh, I remember Zach. Hello, Zach.
So thank you, Zach, for joining. Very good to see you. Got to see him briefly in LA. It was very nice. It had been many years since we had thrown one back together, so it was a good time. The next one I wanted to call out, Dave, unless you had something else, I was just going to keep rolling, was 907, which I thought was awesome. And this is the first thing in day 2 or 3 that I've actually thought about in a while. But it's the screen matched Bruce Wayne file from Batman 89. So this is the file that actually
Vicky Vale and Robert Wool
Arliss pull out of Ali pull out of the file cabinet at the Gotham Globe.
We call it the morgue in the newspaper business. We call it the morgue.
Very good. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that's good. And it's screen matched, and it's the one in that scene. And this isn't something that's in the background. I mean, this is the 2 of the principal characters holding this thing up right up in front of the camera, and it's got the main character's name on it. I think that's awesome. And I don't need it, but if you're a Batman 89 fan, wow. I mean, just right there. I mean, that's a cool thing. That's just a cool thing to have on your have on your shelf and be able to point out to people as they come through your house.
Yeah, it also, I mean, I know it's not framed, but if you look at the way they have it laid out there, it actually would frame up like that quite nicely. If you just look at that layout, that in a frame on a yellow wall, I think would be something very special.
next to a Batwing. And then we move on to lot 984. Which
I had this one. 984 is just this is wild. And I think it's because having a couple of these individual pieces tried to sell, and for some reason they never quite do what anybody wants them to do, and now all of a sudden 3 are together.
984
984, the Children of Men, 3 costumes, really, really gorgeous. You get Michael Caine's costume. Where is it? 984. There we go. Look at that.
It's 3 screen use
costumes. Clive Owens and what's her name? Claire Hope.
What's her name? Juliet. Not Juliet Lewis. Big Lebowski. What's her name?
No, not hers. It's the mother. Not Julian Marks. It's the mother, the Key. The baby mother. Yeah. But the Michael Caine sweater, which looks like the Big Lebowski, and then Theo, the Clive Owen outfit, which I love that outfit. I love that trench coat. I think it's gorgeous. Yeah.
I mean, this to me, like, again, if you guys have not seen that film, this is the best science fiction film of the 2000s. I just think of that decade, the 2000 to 2009. This is you're welcome to challenge me with something better, but I just think that this is the best thing that came out of that decade. And I always maintain, Dave, that if without spoiling anything, in the end sequence, which is epic, that oneer that ends the thing, if instead Clive Owen had like racked a shotgun and said some, catchphrase and like kicked the door in and went in there and just shot everybody in the house, this would be one of the most talked about science fiction films.
But the point of the movie it is catchphraseless, and
it's the anti, but it's wonderful, and actually has House of the Dragon DNA in it, because Jim Clare, production designer, Johnny Tamim, our season 1 costume designer. This is actually the movie that they met on 15 years before they met me, when they were young sprightly designers working with not a huge budget to make this movie. So those are Johnny Tamim costumes in here, and I just think they're fab. And
something that's really cool to think about is if it's an opportunity, you grab these costumes as America moves closer to the Children of Men future. This fashion may come. You may want to just wear these things in your own life as we begin to kind of enter the Children of Men sort of life world. So something to think about. Yeah,
that's right. As it creeps closer and closer to actual reality.
Tangy like that, so thank you, Tangy.
And Frank Berman is calling out still needing to see Big Wednesday, which is another little scene film that I've done a lot of boosting on this podcast. But yes, this is fabulous, and I think is one of the best Vietnam movies ever made, which is another John Milius joint, which is covered a bit in the great Milius documentary directed by Zach Knudsen. Bam.
Bravo.
Then I go on to Dave, lot 1283 and 1284. There's a whole set of Anthony Powell hand-drawn and colored.
Yeah, the Last Crusade costume drawings.
And there's gorgeous. There. There's an Indian there, and it's in the group shot. It's in 1284. But damn, that's cool, guys. Indiana Jones.
Yeah, these maybe more so than all the things that we have discussed surprised me by not being in day one. If we are like just thinking about what makes something day one, I feel like I could find a bunch of things in day one to kick out and put these Anthony Powell drawings in. I was these to me were among the most shocking. So yeah, wherever that fits in.
Then I go on to 1456, which is a wonderful Lord of the Rings piece. This is a Bilbo Baggins letter. It doesn't say screen match, but it's clearly hand done and used in Lord of the Rings. So this might have been on his desk or whatever. It might qualify as a bit of set deck, but it's bespoke, and it's Lord of the Rings. And I was really, I don't know what, this one really got me, and I was really taken by it. And I think it's just how little Lord of the Rings stuff we see, and to see something here that is so distinctly Lord of the Rings. It's Bilbo. It's written on parchment. We know that Bilbo wrote so many letters. I was really just, I don't know. I was moved by it, Dave.
Someone's feeling very emotional tonight.
I think I'm a bit emotional, and now it's going to sell for $500,000.
No, there's two bidders. It hit $1 million. Sorry.
Very good. But yes, I love that. We talked quite a bit about Lord of the Rings this week. Dave,
Tom,
should we plug our appearance on the House of R? Should we do that for a moment?
Sure. I'm not sure anyone will care, but go for it. But I was going to say Thomas Essen is pointing out that that's not a handwritten letter. It's probably a copy of the handwritten letter,
sure,
which is, I guess, why it is there, but still a very nice looking piece.
There was a handwritten one at some point. Yes.
If at some point this is not enough podcasting for you, we are on the Ringers House of R podcast, talking props with the two wonderful hosts over there,
Mallory Rubin and Joanna Robinson.
Yep.
And they I did a lot of coverage with them this year because they covered House of the Dragon very closely and did sort of recap episodes and deep dive episodes on it. And really did great sort of evangelist work for the show. And I became fans of theirs and said, hey, you guys have huge listenership. Do you want to talk about nerdy props? And they jumped at the idea and had Dave and I on. And it was a fun discussion. We did kind of a
little bit of an intro to props.
Draft, yeah, and also like a draft of what's the one weapon you would have, what's the one costume you would have. So it's fun to hear, and with the two, they're a bit younger, so it's interesting to hear the things that they gravitate to for versus the two cranky old Statler and Waldorfs that they had on their podcast. So moving on, the next thing I had, which I was surprised to see in this, because again it's so awesome, is 1540. It's a Once Upon a Time in the West 6-sheet, which I just think is so cool. And I don't remember. I'm sure these are there are these around, but I was shocked to see it in the auction. Bart's having trouble finding it, but it's a 6-sheet for Once Upon a Time in the West. I was just surprised it wasn't in one of their poster auctions.
Are you sure it's in this auction? No, I'm laughing
simply because this is where
we're making up numbers.
Where we
Bart, number 2743. Good night.
1540, Bart. 1540. Whatever. He'll get there in the old scrolly bit, but it's just look, it's a movie poster, but it's very cool. There are only ever
up there it is.
Yeah, there you go. There are only ever so many 6-sheets printed, just because it's a rare format. Not a lot of theaters had the space to hang or frame them, and I think this is a cool one. And that, if you remember when we were talking on the regular Propsture episode, I specifically called out that artwork. So that's actually the four heads artwork, the original artwork. Forgive me because I don't remember the artist name. That's hanging in the Gene Autry Museum up in LA. So you can actually go see or at one point you could go see it. I'm assuming it's still there. The four heads as they were originally painted is hanging in that museum. And then
I think it's Frank McCarthy, or at least the smaller image, the little image is Frank McCarthy.
It's Frank McCarthy.
I don't know if the heads are Frank McCarthy.
Yeah, I feel like
it's hard to see.
Like those were different. I feel like those were a different artist, Dave.
They look maybe different. Definitely the smaller little yellow inset is McCarthy. But anyway, we'll figure that out. Where do you guys stand on the replica stuff being in this auction, even though they're not really used in the movies? Mike, there's always been some replica stuff in these auctions, obviously clearly labeled as such. Obviously some of the replica stuff has become valuable in and of itself. Some of the early replica stuff, some of the icon stuff and whatnot. In this case, it's some of the prop shop stuff. I noticed that. It is what it is. I mean, again, as long as everything's labeled, I think it's fine. And it's not my cup of tea at the moment, but doesn't bother me one way or another. So there's an answer.
And then the last thing that I just wanted to randomly call out before we get into our fun categories is there's a couple of lots, actually. It's 1816 through 1820. There's a whole run of original Roger Rabbit cells in here, which is, to me, is the movie. And people struggle because so many people love this movie, and people struggle. Well, what do you get from the movie? Is it wardrobe and that the gun that everybody went for, which was just a stand-in prop, because of course the gun was actually animated. So I just gravitate towards these because I think these are so neat, because this is the actual filmmaking going on, the movie magic of overlaying 2D animation onto live action, which is one of the main reasons that movie became so memorable. So there's some great Roger Rabbit pieces to be had. You can get a lot where there's a couple of them and then break it up, sell it amongst your friends, do whatever you need doing. So,
and when you're looking at Roger Rabbit cells, and I can't see the fine print on any of these here, you just, obviously they made those shorts later on. They did other Roger Rabbit stuff. So you want to make sure that you're getting from the movie itself as opposed to any of the later shorts. And I do love when they have the photo background, like such as 1816 that has that shows the section of the film that it was used in, just in terms of Roger Rabbit stuff. So yeah, I always think that's very cool.
Yeah, and look, I mean, these are all cheap enough that, like, look, if you just love Roger Rabbit and it's the right price, get it. Don't feel bad about it, what it is. But what Dave is saying is, you really, if you want the one that you're probably looking for, is the one that was actually used in the feature film. That was my run of cool stuff from day 2 and 3. And of course, that's stuff that appeals to me, that sort of, rose to the top. There's actually a bunch of cool things in there. I actually did go sort of page by page through the catalog and doing my real show prep today, just knowing that I would be on a rant. So I wanted to deliver for our sponsors. And should we get into the categories, Dave?
Go for it, please.
Great. I had just in the order that we kind of went in the last time. So I just had weirdest thing up first.
Okay.
I called out something that I have a sort of one thing that's actually weird, and then one thing that was weird, but then I think you can turn it into a fun joke for a fellow collector in your life.
Yep.
1507. They have a Mrs. Doubtfire head in here.
That was definitely weird. I was thinking I wanted to kind of remake Point Break, but the bank robbers are wearing 4 of these Mrs. Doubtfire masks. I thought that everything else is shot for shot exactly the same. It's just, we are the Mrs. Doubtfires instead of we are the presidents. Anyway,
could it just be like, could it just be Robin Williams characters? Like there's Professor Flubber and all that.
I am Mork. Open the vault.
Yeah. And the fact that it was a replica, that's just stuck out to me. My wife just took my children. There's a live show, a live musical here in London. My wife just took my children the other weekend with friends of ours that were in town. So a bunch of her and a girlfriend of hers took all the girls and went. And the girls were delighted by it, and then proudly came home and told me they know what a moose knuckle is, and then went on to explain what that is to me. So I was very proud of my children for that. And when I actually left them downstairs, they were watching the movie. So it was all very present for me. But this is weird. And then I go on to 1753, which is everybody wants an endoskeleton part. in their life. I don't know that anybody is looking for an endoskeleton knee, but then Dave, I thought, you and I are entering middle age. We're getting to that point in our lives where we know collectors who are having things replaced in their bodies. I think this could be a really funny sort of, if you know a collector,
I think you need an Arnold-sized leg, though. I think this thing would be like sticking out of the flesh.
No. This is what
this would look like. You'd look like Joe Theismann. You just have this bone sticking out.
Yeah. That you have the doctor put this in your body, you psychopath.
Oh, that's where I thought you were going. I thought that
like Dave, if you had your knee replaced, I would put this into a nice display and send it to you.
It's
and
a gift. Welcome you. It's a gift, not my new actual knee. Oh, I think mine's better. I think mine's better.
That's good. Yes. Let's see what medical science thinks of that. But I thought that could be. It's not particularly weird. I just thought that could be a fun thing.
I thought that, and there was a lot of weird stuff in here, but 1443 was really weird to me because if you can call it up, 1443, it's a prop with a well-known Nazi on it. I found that really weird, from a movie called Lethal Weapon. I don't know what that is, but I don't know. Prop of the Nazi just seemed really weird. So anyway, 1443, very weird. So enjoy that. Yes.
Amazing.
America's on fire. Continue. What's our next fine category?
This is always one that's more for you than for me, Dave. But things we used to own. I proudly have nothing in this auction, at least as I saw it. That used to be mine.
Nothing hit me that I used to own, as far as I could tell. I think maybe the Thing crew jacket is something I stuck in, but it definitely was something that I purchased in a giant lot of stuff where I was trying to get one thing and there was a bunch of other stuff. And I think this is my Thing jacket, but I've also said that like 7 other times. Like, I think that's my Thing jacket, and it turns out to be some other Thing jacket, and mine is still in line to be sold. So I don't know, but no, nothing from my whatever I would call my collection in that sense. So yeah,
that's
nothing,
cool.
Nothing that was jumping out at me. Yeah. I will say that, oh, go ahead.
Oh, well, I was going to say, does that mean that you've kind of gotten to the end of because you had a substantial, not debt, I don't want to say, because you're a Lannister, you always pay your debts, Dave, but you had a substantial sort of debit account that you'd built up that you needed to build credit against.
The truth of the matter is, it ended up being just a lot more comic art than props in general.
Oh, okay.
I guess just didn't have. I mean, again, I'm sure you would. I know you think otherwise, which is that there's some things I could get rid of, but I certainly didn't make my peace with getting rid of any of it enough to get rid of it. And while I've sold off small pieces of art and stuff here and there, nothing that added up to anything. It really did end up being mostly comic art, quite honestly. So wherever that, it just was. So yeah, no. Normally, sometimes when there's a larger Star Wars section, this is not as this auction goes. It's not a giant Star Wars section, but normally when it's a bigger Star Wars section, I'll see something, you know what I mean, that kind of I owned for a while and either upgraded or, whatever. But this one, not so much. So yeah, no former glory for me. Yeah.
I like how Bart is currently shaming me with the ad, just stating that I bought a stupid Batwing. Thank you, Bart. Appreciate that.
I did tell you that they turned the X-Wing into like a poster in the offices of
really?
Of Heritage. Like
Heritage?
There's like whatever. And I took one of the posters when Bart and I were there. I was just like, oh, let me have one of those, and just took it home. Yeah,
that's good. Did you trade Jackie Chan posters for it? Was there a poster?
No, they just I think they print them themselves. So God bless them. They let me just take it right off the wall. Yeah, it was nice. So yeah.
Yeah, very good. Then I go on to Dave, thing you can't believe exists, which I actually think there's a good amount in this catalog. I just point to, we covered these previously, so I'm not getting into those, but the Costumi d'Arte collection and the Harryhausen collection that's in here.
Yep.
I mean, there's just so much stuff to call out in there. I think we sort of did that on day one, but kind of beyond that, I mean, was there anything else that jumped out to you?
Just seeing, and again, even the Cleopatra stuff, which is not, in any way, shape, or form my favorite movie, it was just wonderful to see. So I found that stuff just, really overwhelming in a great way. No other beyond that, no other real shocks. At least didn't feel like any real shocks. One of the things that I did definitely like, and they're sort of spread out a little bit in this auction, but I don't know if this falls into I can't believe it, but there are some single pages from some various Ridley Scott stuff. So there are some single Ridley Graham examples from like Alien and a couple other movies, and that was just really fun, really neat to see. But again, we knew they existed. I'm not, you know what I mean? So I'm not sure they fall into the category of I can't believe they exist. But collecting wise, the opportunity, like, look, we're probably not going to bid on a full Ridley script. So the opportunity that someone has pulled out some single pages or some extra pages was sort of a very cool thing to me. So maybe a skirting of the rules a little bit of what the definition of it can't believe it exists. But that was my sort of call out for that. So
yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I had something that I called out that I think I wrote the lot number down incorrectly because the lot's too high. So Bart, if you can help me, Lawrence of Arabia. There was this really cool, did you see this, Dave? The menu?
Yes. From the party. Yes,
but it was the 1-year anniversary of filming, which I just love. Which they went to a party during filming because they had already been filming for a year, and all the cast signed this menu. And I just love that this thing that happened. I love the story. I love that it exists. I love that everybody signed this thing. And look, that's a movie that there's just nothing out there from, including posters. And this is just, I mean, that is many people's favorite film. I mean, that film is certainly in my top 20, if not top 15, 10. I find myself kind of watching it once a year, just still in slack-jawed awe that something like that happened and was put on film. But what a great one. And not too terrible in terms of the estimate.
Yeah, and perhaps even in some way, because it is almost more autograph memorabilia than prop, perhaps an opportunity here in this auction, as opposed to if it were in a high-end, I don't know, autograph auction of some sort. I don't know.
Right.
Or maybe even in the poster auction where I feel like people are buying more autograph stuff. So I don't know, maybe an opportunity.
Maybe an opportunity, especially because it is day 3 or 4 at that point. Then I move on to Dave, things you're tired of seeing. I have an answer.
All right, go for it. Go for it. Yeah, please go for
it. Thank you, Bart. I'm sick to death. How did he know? I'm sick to the death of Back to the Future 2. I'm just over it. And I know that people love collecting from it. It's just I don't like this movie. I just think it's not a good sequel. It's sort of the sequel. It's kind of weak, and it doesn't really hold together. It doesn't make much sense. It does not track. It gets very cutesy in Tiny Town, and the Tannen family's been there for 400 years, so everybody looks exactly like Biff. And that continues into the Western one, which I actually think oddly is a better movie, but still has a big sort of believability and credibility.
The Western one definitely sort of, I think, as just a story sort of stands on its own a little bit more.
Yes.
And I guess maybe because of the developments with Doc and Clara, maybe you just sort of you go, oh, that's nice. This movie just seems like they were enamored by the technology that allowed them to sort of put multiple of the same person in the frame. And that's not a reason to make a movie. And I realize it is prop heavy. It is prop delicious with all these stupid things, but I don't give a shit. And I never have. And I remember seeing it back during college. We were so excited. And I remember like seeing it, being somewhat disappointed. And then when the movie ended and it basically said the third one was coming, whatever, that's like the following summer or something, it was just kind of like, fuck you. But anyway, not a fan.
And I really love the first. I love the first one. In fact, one of my answers the other night was we were doing vehicles, and I answered the Hero DeLorean from the first movie was the one vehicle that I want. I'm a huge Back to the Future fan, but original film, and I'm just tired of all these sports almanacs. I'm tired of all this stuff, but the hoverboards in particular. I mean, I don't want to say market manipulation, but it's just like there are too many of these things. And I'm not saying they're not real. They are. It's just the prices that they have achieved is based on, again, these collectors coming in and not knowing what's going on, spending huge amounts of money without knowing what's going on. And there are just too many of these things around.
The thing that makes me laugh most about the hoverboard is it's clearly a prop nobody really likes, because and look, obviously it's one thing to sell something because it's worth money, but I've never seen so many people line up to get rid of a prop. I mean, just like I think there's something sort of very comical about that. I'm going to jump in a similar vein, which it also came up on the House of R. 1457, Bart, 1457. This is a Dharma Initiative beer from the most overrated television show in the history of television, Lost, which I don't like the props. I'm sick of seeing them. And the idea that even all these years later, a single beer can from this stupid thing has to be a prop in this auction drives me crazy. And I just sit here to tell you, our audience, they had no idea where this thing was going and were just making shit up as they went, and none of it makes any sense, and you wasted like 4 or 5 years of your life. That's all I'm gonna say. So yeah,
but Dharma Initiative beer. Everybody have at it.
Yeah, but if you like it, I will step aside and not bid against you on the hoverboard nor the beer. So,
what will you segue, Dave? What will you actually? What do you instead of that? We'll leave that to the end. But what should I be buying in this auction?
Well, I think this is obvious. 9/11, 9/11. Your favorite day, that thing you planned. Mm-hmm. But 9/11, there it is. It's the replica Batwing lamp toy. I think that would just be, I know you have your photo, but I think that needs to go like on your desk. I think
just
that's
a good stand-in.
Yeah, and I reasonably priced. Okay. So I think that's your item. It's not.
Well,
I know we have the other
reasonably priced, Dave, until you called it out on the auction episode.
Let the bidding war begin. That's the piece for you, but that's not the piece I'm buying for you, right? That's still another category, right? Because I have something else that I'm buying for you. This I think is what you should buy. Right? Those are still two separate categories. Yes. I've lost.
Yes,
okay,
correct.
Great. Yeah, I think you should buy this. I think it would look really good. Yeah. And then, it'll be your precious until you get back to the United States, I think, in a good way. So, yeah.
I
also, by the way, I also like the idea that everybody that would come over, you'd have to constantly be going like, no, the real one's a lot bigger. I have another one, and it's so much bigger. Yeah, I got the real one. It's a lot bigger. Yeah.
Ask me about my Batwing lamp, so I can tell you how the real one. I have a left field. Very good, Dave. Very good. I have a left field one for you a little bit. Right. I mean, it isn't, but it's not a Star Wars. It's not a Star Wars prop. And I say this with all love for our friends and sponsors at Propsture. But this is, but for kind of one, major lot, this is sort of not this is kind of a smaller, weaker sort of Star Wars collection, and it's not a surprise. I mean, that there's not an infinite well of this stuff. I mean, it's not like they can just conjure this out of nothing. And I think a lot of people are winning these things and sort of sitting on them. So it's just a quiet auction as far as that stuff goes. But for the Stormtrooper, which you have 17 of at this point, so you don't need another
18
one.
18 is a nice round number.
You don't have you don't have a Sand Trooper, Dave. I'm just saying, smooth epaulets are not in your collection. So I'm just calling that out. But no, this is a movie that I know you really love, and we talked about this a bit offline and then on the day one chat, and you kind of went there, but then sort of dismissed it because you thought it was something that was going to go cuckoo bananas, which I don't disagree, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't take a look at it. It's lot 403, which is RJ McCready's hat from The Thing, and I just think, Dave, for somebody that really loves that movie, and you talk about this movie an awful lot when we get into things that are non-Star Wars.
No, I think this is the piece. It is from that movie. Piece from that movie. I do agree with that. Look, it's on my list and I am watching it, but I am fearful, I guess. So it's not a no. It's not a no, but I am very afraid of where this thing is headed. I get that. But it is great. By the way, if I were fucking Kurt Russell, I would bid on this. I would just buy this back. Just be like, that guy sold this.
For sure.
I think it's his definitive role. I mean, I love him and I love him in so many things, but I think this is his definitive role. So if I were him, I'd buy this back.
Let's put him on that. I heard a crazy story years ago. I don't know whether I'd ever told you this because I just sort of dismissed it as poppycock, but at some point I knew a crew person that ended up on a Kurt Russell movie, and the crew person knew about my collection, whatever, and mentioned to him that I had a Tombstone pistol. And he was sort of like, hey, put me in touch. I want to buy that thing. But I had always heard that he had that there were 3 of those, that the
and
3
he kept
heroes,
a set,
and one went to him, sort of one went to the director, and one went to him, and one went to the crew member that I purchased mine from. But sure, I mean, maybe, why not your Kurt Russell? Why not have a second one? But I always love that, because to me, that I think that's the role that I most associate him with. But sure, I mean, the thing is that's like Han Solo's Star Wars. That's the thing that like put Harrison Ford on.
right. And
on
it is that thing of, and this is not his fault. He is the full-on leading man in Tombstone, whereas obviously Val Kilmer gets to have so much more fun. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with being Wyatt Earp. It's a hell of a role, but it's not quite as flashy. But anyway,
yes, correct. Anyway,
all right, well, I will think about buying it. I'll think now more about buying it.
You should keep mind of it. Moving on.
Let's jump to what would make our wives divorce us. If I bought the Thing hat.
Only if you tell her the price. Otherwise, you're just like, hey, look at this cool hat I got. Dave, think about it. Think about it. Maybe you could come over and we could turn on my Batwing lamp and try to screen match it.
Only, but wait, is that what the real one is? That's the size of the real one? That one on your desk?
No, Dave. Actually, the real one is much bigger.
Oh, okay.
If you come here, and I'll just move this wall panel, I actually have it chalk outlined on my wall here to show you how big and impressive my Batwing prop is. Are you impressed?
Cool. I am. That's really cool.
Yes. Can you tell all your friends? I need to feel like a big man on the internet. Moving on from things that we should be buying to things we would never buy, Dave. What would you never buy in this auction?
Oh, what would I never buy? Boy, I had more trouble with this. I mean, there was a lot of stuff that I guess was just
back at the hoverboard.
Back to the hoverboard, yeah.
Bart's again, jokes are on point today. This is good. Good work, Bart.
There's obviously a lot of stuff that I probably would never buy. But I maybe have used up the true, like, absolutely not, I'm 100% never going to buy it kind of a thing. I don't know if there was like a tremendous amount. There's things like, this is so stupid, but like, there's stuff in here. There's always stuff from like the It movies. Like I'm never going to buy the It stuff, but I'm not sure that's worthy of even noting, if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
That does make sense to me.
Yeah, it's like I don't want it, but it wasn't anything like that. What was interesting, and this is very unspecific, but I will say I spent a lot of time. It's a really wonderful James Bond collection of just a lot of James Bond stuff. And what was interesting, I guess, was even though I really loved Pierce Brosnan as James Bond, and he obviously is not my childhood James Bond, he's sort of just in the middle. And I always really liked him. I thought he was a great James Bond. I love Remington Steele. But when I get to like The World Is Not Enough and Die Another Day, those sort of like those Pierce Brosnan ones, like again, I don't even know,
Invisible
1349, whatever. Yeah, 1349. Like those, I don't care for those movies. They don't hold up for me, even though I like him as James Bond. So somewhere in there, that was sort of my unfortunate answer, is Pierce Brosnan. The Pierce Brosnan Bond stuff was just ultimately, I don't know. It's never as good as I want it to be. So sorry, Pierce. So
that's fair. Dave, I go to lot 357, which is from a movie, a Star Trek movie. This is from Star Trek Beyond. It's the Captain James T. Kirk's light up transponder. And this is really nothing against Star Trek Beyond.
500,000.
I was very good.
I bid 500,000.
Hammer down. I'm going to actually use it to make a joke about the previous movie, because I couldn't find the right thing from the previous movie. So I'm going to say I would never bid on this unless this transponder somehow could be used to locate the script for Star Trek Into Darkness.
It's not a good one. It's not a good one.
In that case, I would bid on it because I'd love to see that thing.
Into Darkness was tough, and it kind of even made the one after it whatever it was called, Beyond, hard to watch because this Into Darkness made me so angry going back into Khan like that.
But it's not Khan, Dave. It's not Khan.
I don't know what it is, but also why would you do that? Like, I understand that every movie in the wake of Khan, especially the non-original trilogy, the non-original Star Trek, like basically every Next Generation movie, including into the most recent Picard show, they're just desperately throwing the sort of Wrath of Khan cards, trying to like, well, what if he has a son and he's the long lost son? And what, it's just constantly trying to play in that Khan sandbox. And it haunts the franchise. But the idea of going in and sort of quote unquote reimagining it, I mean, I don't even know what the hell it was. And by the way,
can I pitch a movement, Dave? MoveCon.org. We gotta get our Star Trek movies past Khan.
Yeah, we definitely do. But there's, like I said, they're still doing Khan. It's like it is the beyond the gold standard. It haunts them. It haunts these movies, and TV shows. It just does not stop. Anyway,
what Dave would you want to be gifted from this fine auction?
What I want to be gifted? Huh. Yeah. Well, certainly the hat would be lovely.
I was thinking smaller
gift. Okay. I guess for me, this is, one of the Ridley Grahams would be really cool, which would be small-ish, I will simply say. But what I would really like to be gifted, is 1805, and I don't think it's going to cost a lot of money.
Late one, okay.
I love V. And I loved when, as a kid, I had the biggest crush on Jane Bodler, who played Diana, and this is a Diana outfit from V. There you go. That's what you can all line up and grab me. That would be wonderful. That would be really wonderful. And I've got one other one just in case people are really interested in getting me two gifts. Because I don't know where, at least I don't know what categories these fit into. So this is where they're going into the you can get me a gift. $14.91, and if no one gets this for me, I may get it for myself. The Max Headroom jacket and bow tie on the Matt Frewer thing.
Good call.
Check out the Max Headroom. I know everyone knows him sort of from the commercial, but check out the old Max Headroom TV show. God, I love that show.
It was good.
I really, really enjoyed it. So yeah.
Yes.
So those were. How about you? What would you like to be gifted?
I want lot 15, which is because I don't want to buy this thing, but I do want somebody to buy it for me, or better yet, buy it, win the auction, keep the tapes, and then just digitize them and send me the digital files.
You just want to see it. You want to see what's on them. I
see all of that Colonial Marine footage that's hidden on there, and all the helmet cam stuff, and all the BTS stuff that's certainly on those things because they were rolling after cuts and all that. I think it would just be. There's a fascinating sort of like behind the scenes art film to be cut out of that whole thing, and I think that would be really fun, but I don't want to buy it. I just want to be given it. So somebody make it happen.
Boy, yeah, I guess I hope those tapes are okay, that you actually could actually still get stuff off of them.
That's true.
Tapes are not the best. I have a pile of videotapes of, I think, like Eurotrip stuff that I need to give to somebody to digitize. And I don't even know if anything great is on it. I think it's a lot of just longer early cuts. They're not necessarily any better, but I do feel like it would be great to get rid of the pile of videotapes and then just have it. But I gotta something to deal with add to my list of a million things that I need to deal with. Melissa C said she put in the Fight Club tickets.
Oh, that's cool.
Always fun. Yep. And a couple of nice.
Frank Berman is saying that. He's saying that to Melissa.
I see. I'm so sorry.
Just decoding the internet lingo, Dave.
I apologize all. Still very cool. And they've moved some of the Fight Club wardrobe into the day 3 and 4, which I also thought was cool, wherever that fits in. So yeah.
Yes, very cool. And by the way, I know people were upset about the Batman lots that were pulled out of the auction. That was I think it was the costume and then the Catwoman costume. They were pulled, but I understand from talking to Propsture that those will be in a future auction. So they're I don't know what the reason is there, but they're coming back around.
Oh,
so,
I did not even know that happened.
Whatever that's worth. Yeah.
I should watch a prop podcast that gives me information, because I did not know that happened. Was that recently? Yeah, or was
yes,
that
that happened within the last 2 weeks, I believe.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Because I filmed coverage of the Batsuit, and it was still in the auction at that point, so it was not
gotcha.
long ago. By the way, check out all those. I've covered a bunch of
our YouTube channel, please.
Lots on the YouTube channel. That stuff will continue to be posted, I think, all the way up until the day one of the auction. So keep watching. Then I go, Dave, to what is the thing that you wish you were sophisticated enough to buy?
Oof. Everything is just the hat. Dave,
lot 1508 has a monkey head on it. Chris Fawcett is telling us. So just
what is 1508? I don't even know.
Does it matter? It's got a monkey head.
There was a gorilla, I think a baby gorilla from Gorilla in the Mist.
I did see that.
Wish I was sophisticated enough to buy it. Why would I not be sophisticated enough to buy that?
This is far too classy over a monkey radiator cap. I can't take this Gorilla in the Mist piece.
Boy, what would it be sophisticated enough to buy? I don't know. I didn't have a great one for this. I'm gonna go with 1021, which is a really pretty Brian Froud drawing from the Dark Crystal. I don't have a Brian Froud piece of art in my collection. I really do love and admire him, and I do like the Dark Crystal. And so maybe I should just bite the bullet and get this. I always think they're really pretty and elegant and whatnot, and I never quite do it. So I wish there was something in me that was perhaps a little more sophisticated and allowed me to grab that. I don't know. How about you?
Yeah, I just, this is a day one thing. We've been mostly talking about day 2 and 3, but I just go with the good, the bad, and the ugly duster.
Yeah, sure.
I just think that's the coolest shit that I've seen.
But I mean, with that one, is that sophistication, or is that just am I ready to bite that bullet? I mean,
I just think this doesn't fit into my collection as it currently stands, because this is more of like a, classic films versus genre films of the 80s sort of thing. And
it is, but I mean, it's very much a movie that certainly is a giant influence on you.
Of course,
certainly be a one and done, although I guess you'd kind of want a hat, but yeah.
Well, or the shirt to go under, and then it becomes a slippery slope.
But I feel like you could live with if you kept the duster closed, you would never know there was no shirt under there. But
very true, very true. I think it's awesome though, and I wish I was that sophisticated. I'm also wondering, coming off of this, Dave, what do you think? What would piss off your wife the most if you bought it?
What was it? Hold on, I can't read my own writing. 16. I hope this is right. 1655. And it's not even really fully a prop. 1655. Did I get this wrong?
1655. She would be thrilled if you bought lot 1655.
Hold on. It's in the Star Wars section. What numbers are the Star Wars section? I'm going to get this. Hold on. God damn. It's the shit. I'm going to give it away. It's the Star Wars arcade game. Just if you can call it.
Cool.
It's the giant sit down version of the classic 1977 game. The full on the sit down. Try arcade.
But this will be in day.
It's day 4. It's day 4. Yeah. Try arcade. Just
he did. No? It's not working. Yeah.
God damn. Someone help.
There it is.
There it is. This thing, if you can remember this from your youth, this thing is giant. The dimensions of this thing are just giant.
Yeah. 1655. Yeah.
What did I say? No,
I think you did say that. I don't know what's happening.
Years ago, when we lived in our old house, one day I had gotten an opportunity to get one of the stand-up arcade machines.
Okay.
And one night I sort of mentioned
not Star Wars, just
Star Wars. Yeah, the actual the classic Star Wars stand, but it was the stand-up version.
Got it.
And I said in passing to my wife one day, I was like, "Hey, I want to get a Star Wars arcade machine." And she sort of said something like, "Well, then you got to get rid of something." I can't remember what it was she pointed to. You got to get rid of whatever. And like a couple of weeks later, like she was kind of coming home one day as they were carrying the other thing out. And she was like, "What's going on?" And I was like, you said if I got rid of that thing, I could get the Star Wars arcade machine. And she was, of course, like, what? And then the Star Wars arcade machine came in and was in our living room for many, many, many years. And is now over at the condo. And this thing is even bigger, and I believe it would be immediate troubles,
especially because there's past trauma tied up in that.
Yeah, you need a garage for something like this, but God, it would be great to have. And if it were here in LA, I probably would even think about it. But I'm not importing this from London. I'll tell you that. So
no,
so it's a no. But yeah, pretty insane. How about you? What would be the breaking?
Is lot 1172. This is from a favorite film of mine, the Grand Budapest Hotel. It's the famous painting from the movie of.
Oh, that's so funny. I have this, but for another category. Should I go to that category?
Well, I was gonna. Dave, hang on. I'm continuing.
Oh, there's more. There's more.
And,
please.
And to break the news to Caitlin that I'm buying this, I'm gonna win lot 385, and then put this on, and then speak to her in the Jar Jar Binks voice.
The painting.
Misa won 2 things in the auction, sweetheart.
Go back to whatever the number was. I apologize. If you can go back to the Grand Budapest 1172. This is to jump categories. This was my project. This was my pick for best project, because I think the thing to do would be to get this piece and frame it exactly the way it was, like in that really elaborate gold frame in the movie. And then the other thing to do would be to just sneak it into your house and hang it so that like it's there hopefully for a couple of days, maybe even weeks, like depending, before someone looks up and notices that boy with Apple is gone. And it's sort of like, where the fuck did that come from? And it just sort of, so that's the project is
the
sort
elaborate
of is the sort of the
movie joke,
the framing and then hanging it so that someone discovers it. So yeah, that's my best project. I don't know what you had for project, but that was my project. Yeah.
Melissa would like to encourage us for no kink shaming.
No, I fucking
do
love
not.
It. Yeah,
we do not. I would be thrilled if my wife would love dudes kissing. I just think she would not. Then I go to let's do our wives a solid, Dave. What should we be buying for them? What would they love us for getting them?
I didn't think there was a lot in this auction that Becky would have real interest in per se, but I did end up choosing 1447, which is Joe's costume from Little Women, played by the lovely Irish actress whose name I won't attempt to butcher. Saoirse Ronan, exactly. It's a beautiful piece, a beautiful movie, and I know my daughter really loves it, and so I felt like, I don't know if this was anybody really wants this piece, but I think they would find it at least nice and interesting for a solid 7 to 12 minutes. Yeah, so I think that's good. Yeah.
I have a costume piece myself, Dave. It's lot 55. This is Colin Firth's Mark Darcy jumper.
Mark Darcy, yep, very nice, very nice. The Christmas jumper, yep.
Yes, from Bridget Jones' Diary, lot 55. Right next to my Daywalker sword.
Yep, there it is. Yep, the horrible,
the horrible
jumper. Yep, that is a very pretty piece.
Big fan of that movie, and I think that's actually one that I could just hold up and she would recognize it like instantly on site, and then I would still be wearing the Jar Jar reference head when I was showing that off to her, because you got to give the good with the bad, And then
Misa spent a lot of money.
Misa Batwing, actually 6 feet long.
Misa Batwing, much bigger than this lamp.
Which I also wasted money on.
Melissa, I also like the Man of Constant Sorrow record. I had that down as a possible gift. 1538, the Soggy Bottom Boys. I did like that quite a bit. Yeah,
I did see that as well. Yeah, another solid from Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Dave, the kids, what do they want? What are they going to be excited about?
Well, as I said, the Little Women sort of covered Madeline a bit.
Yeah, it covers everybody.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it covers Freddie, but I did think I think it would at least cover Madeline, which I sort of take that as. for Freddie, he is really into 2001. We saw it this summer. I think I mentioned we went to one of the big.
He watched on his iPhone, right?
Well, actually, I got him an old iPod with a smaller black and white screen, and he watched it on that. But so I was peaking at like 820 or 821. These are like the very early on day 3, a couple of the photo lots. And maybe 822. I also liked the from the Frangione collection. There was a beautiful 3D lenticular poster from 1968 that I thought was really cool too. So there's a bunch of, I thought, just really nice images that he would get a kick out of. So
I think lot 1 is awesome. I think those 2 art photos inside the HAL machine of Kubrick and Bowman.
Yes,
the first lot of the auction. I think those are pretty glorious.
Very, very cool.
Yeah,
I consigned some Kubrick items for the spring auction coming up. Oh, very cool, Frank.
Good to know.
I'll look forward to that. Yes.
Is it a full spacesuit from 2001, Frank? Because I need one of those.
Or just the helmet.
Yeah. For me, I think I picked out 1203 and 1204. The portraits from Hogwarts, the wizard portraits.
Oh, very cool.
I think these are just super cool and so evocative of the movie. And I say this because I'm using it to obscure the fact that there's a Marauders map in this auction, which I feel like they would want. And it's like, no, look over here. Look at these
look at these stills that nobody cares about. Yes.
Yeah.
I do always look, by the way, at the various autographed books, just because my kids did enjoy those movies so much, and just sort of, to grab, like, again, less that it's some kind of a first edition or anything, although I know those have been in these auctions as well. But just the idea of, like, an old copy of one of the books with, like, when they were kids and they signed it all. I just always think those things are very cool. And my kids still love those, both books, or I guess movies more than books, but yes. So yeah, that's always a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. I was then going to go, Dave, off to what should we be buying for each other? What would you buy? What would you buy for me to make
this was a no-brainer.
Okay.
Again, I always think of this image of you, just your the camera view of you, and what I want to see, like, over your shoulder, sort of there forever and ever and ever. And the answer was very simple. Lot 1396, the screen worn. There we go. Judy Garland from the movie Judy, Renee Zellweger, Oscar winning, the black one with the floral print. It's beautiful. It's screen match. Her performance as Judy was great. I think it's a real gem of a movie, and that is what I would like to see over your shoulder, right next to Kirk. I think just standing with Kirk, I think that's the piece. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. That means a lot to me. I really appreciate it. You're a good man.
How about you? What am I getting?
I went to lot 1067, Dave, because I'm gonna get the companion costume to this.
Oh God, dear Lord!
You and I are going to Comic-Con this year. We're gonna do a full day live show on Comic-Con, walking around as Thing 1 and Thing 2 from the classic Mike Myers Cat in the Hat.
Oof. Yeah, it's like PTSD costumes.
And then if you were sort of unsatisfied by that, Dave, I know how much you love Raiders of the Lost Ark. So I went to lot 1276 because it's a day 3 thing, but big famous movie. I know you much love it. It's the Nazi symbol.
Good. Is there a swastika on it? I hope
it's everything. It's the Iron Cross. It's the eagle and the swastika. It hits
the
whole
the full Monty.
You can just hang it up right over your mezuzah at your house and welcome everybody in and announce your love for Raiders.
I love Raiders. Yes, exactly.
That's what you would be telling to everybody. I mean, that's the first thing everybody will think when they look at it.
It could come in handy though in our Children of Men future here.
As we enter.
Yeah. No, leave us alone. Look, I've got an iron eagle and and a swastika. Move along. Go to the next house. Yeah.
You talked about your big project. My big project, I didn't really have a super great answer this time, so I went for the joke answer, which is lot 103, the Vigo the Carpathian screen matched armor. I not only want to buy this, I want to buy it and I want to wear it, and I want to have the despotic portrait of myself done.
You want to sort of paint a Vigo painting, but your Vigo. I like that.
But me, I want like for my eventual US house, I want this to hang proudly over the fireplace. I want to get like a prominent, like modern artist, somebody that actually does portrait sitting. And I want to buy this costume and I want to have them do me as Vigo to just stare down in sort of hatred and judgment at everybody that walks through my future house.
Just over your own sort of over your own fireplace kind of a thing.
That's right. And then I would say at screen match, do you want to see my Batwing lamp so I can talk about my next thing?
There's an insane portrait. Sorry, I don't know why I'm thinking of this. There's an insane portrait in Scrooge, the Bill Murray movie Scrooge, directed by Richard Donner. And it's sort of like Picasso-esque of like it's like a crazy, like multi-dimensional kind of cubist like woman. And there's a part in the movie where something's going on and he's just so frustrated and he turns to the portrait and he just goes, "Mother, help me," or something like that, as if that's his mother. And I don't know why that always makes me laugh as a joke.
That's very good. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. And then when I'm dead, my children can address my portrait as Vigo.
Your children can fight over, "I don't want it." Well, I don't want it. I'll take the book. I'll take the spell book. Why don't you take the painting of Dad as Vigo? No, I'll take the spell book. Yeah.
Yeah. Very good. And we have this as a category. I put it in, but most insane Star Wars prop. I mean, we sort of talked about it before, but it feels like this is a bit of a
I mean, obviously the stormtrooper costume speaks for itself, but there was less sort of, I don't know, interesting goodies buried in the Star Wars section. Certainly for my collection this time around. There's always obviously there's something for everyone, but less perhaps for me this time around, which by the way, I have no problem with. There's something wonderful about looking at, as we say, to look at a catalog and not feel like I'm like, "Oh God, help me." So yeah,
you don't mind it. And then on to Dave. What is your other favorite movie that we talk about all the time? What's the worst Prometheus piece in this auction?
I went 1571, the fossilized engineer's arm.
Ding ding ding.
I mean, because I've seen a lot of the the urns, which by the way could also be the "what are we sick of seeing," but I didn't want to jump the Prometheus section. And the flashlight is a flashlight, I guess, and I don't know what that other thing was, but this arm is just so stupid, and it really represents a really stupid, just terrible movie. Just a fossilized arm. And by the way, at no point, for the movie that was supposed to really kind of tell us more about, like I don't know, not that it was going to fill in all the holes, but like, weren't we supposed to learn more about the engineer or like how like the other movie? I don't even know. But anyway, garbage.
I just went for 322 because it's a hero ampule, and I just knew that would enrage you. Is like, oh, there's an ampule worth being on day one because it's even more expensive.
And I'm sure it will sell, but my God, I just don't get that movie. Yeah. Have you watched Romulus yet? Have you
not yet? No, I bought it, but I have not had a chance. I'm excited to fire it up.
Did you 4K it up? Is that what you did? Oh, nice.
Yes, did.
I'll be curious when you see it. I think there's like half a good movie in there, but I'll be very curious what you think. So yeah,
I will report in. That has people for months, so I haven't had time to do a lot of film watching. Before Dave, we go back around to the beginning or to the end, I guess, and what are we going to be buying? Let's do the "how many times can I not buy something" award. What is it? Oof. What is it for you?
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I do feel like it's funny. I feel like it's maybe some of that James Bond stuff where I feel like I am constantly staring at like
I got to get a Bond piece, but none of these.
I want a Bond piece, but I always look at like the Casino Royale, like the little the Baccarat the rectangular chips, or you know what I mean. I always look at those from the Montenegro Casino or whatever it's called, and I never do, and I think about it every time, and then I don't. So that for me just sort of continues to be, who knows, maybe someday, but I guess clearly it's not what I really want. But yeah, anyway, that's the one that I'm always sort of like, nah, it's always like on my list, and then the first thing to be crossed off my list, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think you did really well with the McGinnis piece, Dave. I think that's such a good.
Yes, it is certainly very true. It's not so much that I feel the need, but I do always stare at these chips, and I don't know why. Because I think it's because I think it's because I really do like those first couple of Daniel Craig movies, and I guess I do want something to represent him. I guess that's the answer. Like, as much as my Bond piece is perfect, but I still wouldn't mind getting something that connects to Roger Moore and maybe something that connects to Daniel Craig. So I guess that's the answer. Yeah. How about you?
Yeah. Okay. I just go to, just because this has popped up a couple of times and I don't think I'm bidding again. Forgive me. I did not write down the lot, but you can quickly scan for it. It's the occult pistol from T2. And this has been I don't know whether it's this one, but the Sarah Connor one has been around. The handguns from T2 have sort of been around and I was sort of like, I don't know. And yeah, it's cool. And it's the Terminator and whatever, but I just think, and as a self-professed gun collector,
I think it's
movie prop collector,
I think it's day one. I think
it is day one, Bart. Yeah, it's day one. It's like the end of day one. There was you just I just saw it on flash up when you were typing in Terminator. There it is. What lot is that? 298, 398, 399,
399.
There you go. 399. There you go. It's a great piece. I just think that I sort of ticked the box for Terminator, and I stared at it and thought about it. I actually held it, went over. Propsture, they're always super impressive. It's very gunny, but I just think I think it's best finds its home with another collector who will love it. So I'm passing.
Yeah, you've talked yourself out of it, I think, in a good way. So,
yeah. I'm trying to just keep powder dry. I sort of went nuts last year, and all fine. I don't regret buying anything, but I think we go into these like sort of quiet periods for a couple months, and you're like, oh, nothing's going to come along, and then you buy something, and then this amazing opportunity arises, and you're sort of like, oh, maybe I should have waited a little bit. But that all said, Dave, I mean, is there stuff in this auction for you? Are you bidding on anything? Are you thinking about anything?
The honest answer is I'm still sort of figuring it out, which I know is not a great answer. I'm very much, for me, funny enough, I feel like there's a lot of pieces that I like a whole bunch, and I'm trying to figure out if any of them are like must have. And and that's a problem, because you don't want to force it. You don't want to, I'm sorry. You don't want to force it. I don't want to talk myself into something just because there's not anything more obvious to buy. There's a lot of movies in here that I really do like, and I like the piece from the movie. And by the way, there's things like the Harryhausen where, like, if I could maybe get like the Clash of the Titans drawing, and don't get me wrong, I think the maquettes and stuff are gorgeous, but I'm not sure I have to have those. But if I could get a Clash of the Titans drawing of the Kraken or something like that, I think I'd be really, really happy. So there are some things that I'm definitely thinking about, but I'm just not quite sure yet what has, and that was like 155 was the Kraken one that I was staring at. I'm just not sure there's anything like I'm dying for. I've been staring at the Marauders map a little bit myself. I've been staring at the Raiders staff. I've been staring at the Kurgan. And again, it's all incredible stuff. I'm just still trying to figure out whether I have to have it, if that makes any sense. So that's a little bit where I am, which is a fine place to be. I don't want to bid just to bid, obviously, for all those reasons. Yeah.
No, and there's so much, there's so much more stuff to come, and there's another Heritage auction coming, and that Heritage is just much more active in the space now, and there's going to be something early next year, and Propsture is back in March, and these things will keep piling up on top of each other, and I think a steady hand will be rewarded.
Yeah, there is truly a lot coming up, but it's not even just that. It's just like,
in another universe where, you know, again, at different price points, there's 30 things I would buy here. But the notion of that perhaps one of them is going to go crazy. Am I ready for it to go crazy? I'm not sure that I'm there. So I don't know if I'm Stanley. I don't know if I'm disciplined as much as just simply just trying to buy, you know, again, not that everything needs to be Star Wars, but sort of, you know, waiting for the thing that makes me go, oh, I have to. And I'm not sure these pieces are that. So yeah. How about you? I was thinking maybe the Fury Road piece was maybe the piece, but I don't know. Yeah.
I'm sort of in that same place. I do love that Fury Road mask. The Tom Hardy mask. It's really great, and seeing it in person made me really appreciate it even more. I just don't really invest big money into modern films, and this is going to be a chunky one, I think, to get it done. It's not going for the opening bid, and I just have to decide: am I gonna you know, sort of dabble? Am I gonna go for it? Am I gonna wait on the outside? I don't really know, and we'll have to see. And I would, I'd to David Pisani's point, Dread Pirate Roberts mask. I would love something from Princess Bride. I don't know that any of those things fully ticks the box. I think they all sort of live in placeholder land. For me, the book is wonderful for many reasons. It's certainly a fun one to page through and look at. I don't know.
Yeah, I did. I mean, I really did like the mask. I sort of wish it had the scarf with it. I don't know what the hell the black. I wish it was the
could
full,
easily add.
You could fully do. I don't know. I just wish it were there. I did really like the book as well. I'm not sure. I know what it is. I'm not sure it's a first instinct Princess Bride piece, but it's certainly a nice Princess Bride piece. So I don't know. I'm sort of torn as well. And that's what I mean is a lot of movies with things that I really like, but they're maybe not exactly the piece I dreamed it would be. Maybe that's a better way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe
and look, I've really
tried the better way to say it. Yeah.
Yeah. And this year, I mean, the two props that I bought this year, the Blade Runner suit and the Batwing, both hold to my sort of that thing that we talked about at the outset of whatever season, like the new direction, which is I really want to chase upstream pieces. I really want to try. I really want to wait and keep the powder dry and try to get A and A+ pieces from the films that I love. And look, the mask is great. The book is great. It's just, there's a lot of considerations going into all of this, and I do love the Fury Road mask, and if that can be had for a price, I think I'll be there. I think with that one, I certainly will be at least hanging out on the phone for it. So
just in case,
yeah, absolutely. And look, this is not the end of the world. I've had, I think I've had more of these auctions come by than you have recently, Dave, which is just like, nope, there's nothing in for me. Just holding serve and moving on to the next one, and I'm totally okay with that because I know stuff comes up and. You'll phone me up and say, hey, this crazy thing came up. What do you think?
Yeah, no, there's stuff. I mean, there's stuff all the time, which is both great and awful. It doesn't stop in a good way. So it's not the worst thing when you kind of are. But again, I could. There's 40 things from this auction I'd like to have. It's just a matter of whether I'm going to spend the money or not. So yeah, it's that.
There are plane crashes and pandemics all the time, Dave. Your favorite collection is just one sort of stroke of luck away from being up for auction. So you have to be ready when that happens.
I'm waiting for the next Julian's when the guy puts the phaser and the communicator back in. He's going to make some money on it. No, I don't think he's a speculator. Any last questions for us?
Murdered him when she found out what he spent on Star Trek toys.
I'm guessing his wife doesn't care. Any last questions about any items or anything about the auction from our lovely peanut gallery? Anybody out there? Anything that we didn't talk about that you want answered? Speak now, forever hold your peace. All right, I'm not seeing much, so that's okay. Did we lose everybody?
Come on, I'm proud of this one. It was entertaining. It was a tight 90 minutes. We did well. We did well. But guys, this is a great auction. I mean, I think there's a ton of stuff in here at all levels. What's the matter, Dave?
I just
There's a bunch of really cool stuff in here on day one, and others. There's the music auction, which we didn't really cover because it's not our thing, but there is actually a bunch of insane stuff in there. There's like unreleased Jimi Hendrix recordings, which just like blew my mind. So certainly go on, do your last pass through the catalog, do yourself the solid of doing your final research as we approach these final days. It's Sunday night right now. The auction begins on Thursday. I certainly will be there in person. So come say hello and come chat, take a photo, do whatever. I'll be there hanging out and sort of thinking about how I'm going to quietly slip out the back door at some point. So get me before that happens.
I will not be there. I will not be there.
Dave will not be there. I'll be texting him saying, hey, the auction's starting. Wake up. Thankfully, you don't usually bid in the A's, B's, and C's.
Yes, thank God, no A's. So yeah, I don't have to wake up till the B's. Yeah, I think that's about it. But thank you, everyone. As always, thank you to all the familiar faces in there. I can't think of anything else. So yeah, please watch us. I know I keep saying this on the regular show too. I feel like we haven't gotten a review in a long time. So if you've never left a review on one of the podcast apps, especially Apple, give us 5 stars and a review, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and all until the auction starts. New videos of Ryan visiting Propsture and checking out props will be up, I think, every day. And that's about it. And write us at
dreamsareMadeOfPodcast@gmail.com. And I will also say next week, so not this Wednesday, this episode will live air on the feed right before the auction. But then the following Wednesday, we actually have an episode that's not about an auction. So what a weird one for this.
Dear Lord.
For this season.
And then the rest of the season will just be auctions.
More auctions. Yeah. But we have some good, we've banked and recorded some really good content that I think you guys will really get a kick out of. That's a little different. So stay tuned for all of that. Keep downloading, referring, and bidding. Bid. Just don't bid against me.
Even though he's not really bidding on anything. But okay, good. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Take care.